Hello, am I audible?
Sir, good evening. You are audible, sir. Yeah.
Okay, okay, sir. Is my video visible, sir?
Video is not visible, sir. It is dark actually.
Yeah, it is dark. I don't know why.
Recording in progress.
May I know if I'm audible?
Sir, you're audible. Your video is also.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Okay, sir. So let me know when Dr. Susairaj is in the meeting.
Sure, sir, sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Participants, kindly mute yourselves, mute your audios. In few minutes, we'll start our FDP, today's session of the FDP.
Hello. Hi, Raghu. Can you hear me?
Sir, good evening, sir. It's audible, sir. Thank you very much for joining, sir.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes,
So
sir.
happy to be here.
Good evening, sir.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Rupesh. I'm the moderator for the day.
Hi, Rupesh. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir. So we'll begin in 2-3 minutes, sir. We'll wait for participants to join. We'll begin in 2-3 minutes. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Sounds great. Yeah. Hey, Rupesh, I think I'm going to quickly get some coffee when we are waiting. Just letting you know, I'll be back in a minute or two. Okay.
Sure.
Sure, sir, sure.
Sure, sir. Sure, sure. Yeah. Yes. Raghu sir, I think, are we good to go?
Yes, sir, please. You can start. Let them join.
Okay. So welcome to all the participants to this 1 week international virtual faculty development program on interdisciplinary concepts. So after all 4 insightful sessions, we are on the 5th day today, and on behalf of the university, the Vice Chancellor, and the Dean School of Sciences and Humanities, the head of the Department English, and all the faculty members, I take this privilege in inviting you all to this 5th day of 1 week international virtual faculty development program. And today we have an interesting session uh, on the topic, the impact of AI in the present education scenario. And we have our eminent speaker of the day, Professor Dr. Jaral Susairaj. So I take this privilege in welcoming Dr. Susairaj, and I also take this privilege in introducing, reading out his bio note. Dr. Susairaj is an associate professor teaching computer science and engineering at the University of California, San Diego. Dr. Susairaj's area of research is computing education, and he co-leads the Computing Education Research Lab at UC San Diego. He did his interdisciplinary PhD in computer sciences and education and a master's in computer sciences at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He has taught to a wide variety of students from different backgrounds, ranging from 4th and 5th grade K-12 to working professionals. Sir has created many open educational resources in computing education to help students, especially from lower socioeconomic communities. Most of Dr. Susairaj's lectures, lecture videos, textbooks, class notes, programming assignments, worksheets are freely and publicly available online. He has credit of co-authoring 2 free online interactive textbooks for introductory programming courses in Python and Java, and they're widely used in CSE courses at UC San Diego. Dr. Susairaj's expertise is in effective, equitable, and inclusive ways to teach computing to diverse learners. He's the principal investigator on an NSF-funded research project on determining the effectiveness of live coding, a teaching method based on cognitive apprenticeship to teach programming processes to students with no prior programming experience. As a professor, his primary goal, he says, is to make the field of computing more inclusive to all learners, irrespective of their gender, race, ethnicity, nationality, native language, and sexual orientation. The other side of his personal life loves to play tennis, cricket, basketball, table tennis, badminton, and is an adventure enthusiast. And he has tried many activities like skydiving, bungee jumping, climbing the Himalayas, and the scuba diving. So with this introduction, I take this privilege in welcoming you, Dr. Susairaj, to this International Virtual FDP. Over to you, Dr. Susairaj.
Thank you so much, Rupesh. That was such a kind introduction. And hi, everyone. Before we start, I have like a small request. The way that I usually do like talks or even lectures are like in a very interactive way, and so I feed so much from the audience, and it's like it would be what is it? I would be really happy if like a few of you, if you're comfortable turning on your video, because I can see your amazing faces while I'm interacting, instead of just looking at all these black tiles here. You know, like there are like nearly 160 people here, which is amazing. So if you folks are not so worried about turning on your video, and because that makes me feel like I am interacting with real people. So if you can turn on your video, and that would be great. At least I can see like a few people, because when I'm presenting, I don't think I'll be able to see everyone, but at least I can see like a few of your beautiful faces that actually motivates me so much, because you can ask me questions, I can pause, and so on. Also, when I did not know that this was a fully Zoom thing, because else I would have prepared like a few things accordingly, but I was assuming you folks would be like in a conference all together, something like that. But now this makes me much more happier, because now I feel I can have like, I can even conduct some polls on the fly as we are going on, to just assess the temperature of the room, to figure out like your interests and so on. Okay, at any time, some of the quick things, anytime during the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me, because this is not going to be like completely like me just lecturing at you. Like many of you are already like experts in the field, and so feel free to just like interrupt me at any point and ask any questions. And also, if you have a question, feel free to like post it. I'm not sure if yeah, the chat is enabled, right? Yeah, the chat is enabled. I'm seeing you all like wishing. So feel free to also post it on chat. But I would not be able to monitor chat as closely. But Rupesh, if you could help me monitor chat and relay the questions to me when I'm doing my presentation, that would be awesome. Yeah, no, I'm so happy
Yes,
to
sir.
see
Sure.
so many of you here. Thank you for like turning on the videos. This is amazing. Okay, awesome. So I think we'll get started, and I will also share a link to my slides. Okay, the slides that I'm going to present today, I'm just going to share it here, so that if you want, you could also have access to it. Yeah, have access to it on your own. Okay, so but I will start sharing my screen. Okay, are you folks able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So the title of my talk is The Impact of Artificial Intelligence on Education. And purposefully, I have made it very like practical, in a way that I did not just want to talk about like a lot of theoretical things and then just make you think about, okay, how does this apply in the practical context and so on. So it's so much of this is going to be like practically what we are doing here at UC San Diego. And one of I'll go into a lot of detail into one of my research projects that has actually seen this impact of artificial intelligence on education. Again, like a quick, I think like Rupesh did a great job introducing me. So yeah, my name is Gerald Susiraj, and I was an associate teaching professor and assistant teaching professor for the first 4 years at UC San Diego. And now I just recently got tenure. Tenure is similar to getting a permanent position in India. That's how tenure is. And so I have got tenure, and now I'm associate teaching professor in computer science and engineering at UC San Diego. And I did my PhD in computer sciences in education and Masters in computer sciences at the University of Wisconsin, Madison. I had an amazing like 4 to 6 years of my graduate studies here. And where am I from originally? I'm originally from Chennai. I think most of you may be aware of like Chennai or Madras in Tamil Nadu. And I studied at this institution called College of Engineering Gindi, or CEG, in Chennai. This is my undergraduate institution. And some of my research interests, actually it even started based on my experiences that I had at the CEG. So when I was doing my undergraduate education in CEG, the way that I have seen education happen almost throughout my undergrad was similar to like the teacher lecturing at us, and we students always just consuming information. We would be just like listening to them. I would be so, we in the sense like I and my friends would be so afraid to ask questions during the lecture, and it would just be like a one-way communication for most of the time. But when I came to the US to do my master's, I was a teaching assistant for like a programming course. And I saw that there was so much of interaction that was happening between the students and the teacher. and also among students about the subject matter. They were discussing so much about the subject, and that made me so curious about what was the barrier that me and my friends or my cohort of students were having when we were doing this in India. And one of the things led to this research project on understanding the barriers that non-native English speakers face. So one of the things was like in computer science and in programming, most of the resources that people use, the programming language documentation, it could be the Q&A websites like Stack Overflow and things like that. Almost all of these things are in English. And so as non-native English speakers, students may face a challenge with if they don't have as much proficiency in English, or if they're not so comfortable in English, they may face like huge challenges. So one of my main area of research is in understanding what are these barriers that non-native English speakers face, and how could we help them overcome these barriers. Like for specifically, like one of the studies that I did during my PhD, I came back to India to my undergraduate institution, and the study was trying to understand the effectiveness of teaching programming with only English versus using like a bilingual medium of instruction using both English and Tamil. And so when we did both English and Tamil, we found that students in the classroom were more comfortable asking questions to the instructor compared to teaching only using English. There are so many other follow-up studies that have been happening in the space, and one of my own PhD students is currently working on understanding the impact of Spanish and English bilingual education on student learners. Another research interest of mine is the role of live coding in teaching programming. Right, live coding, you may also see a little bit of this today. Live coding is this process of writing code lively while teaching students. When we are programming, we tend to write code lively while teaching students. And this particular aspect helps students to understand that, okay, the instructor who has been programming for so long, when they are programming, they are also making mistakes. So that makes the instructors to be more relatable to the students, and this helps to create a really good, really good learning environment where the students are not thinking that when a program is written, that it should always be written correctly. They understand that when we write programs, we tend to write them wrongly and then keep on iterating over them or revising them to make them correct and so on. So again, another PhD student of mine is currently diving deep into this particular topic here at UC San Diego. Some of my teaching experiences, I have been teaching intro-level courses in Java, Python, C, C++, and a mid-level computer science course called Intro to Computer Systems, and upper-level course Intro to Operating Systems, and also a graduate level or PhD level course on Intro to Computing Education Research, which is my area of research. And I've been super active with CS outreach. One of the main challenges that we face in the US is that Black students or Latin students who are from Mexico, and women and Native Americans, all these people are underrepresented in computing. There are very few people in computer science classes or even in these companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft, and so on. And so one of my work also focuses on teaching computer science at the school level, at the high school level, or even the elementary school level, to help them understand the usefulness of computer science, to make them interested in CS, and so that they could actually end up pursuing computer science as a career. And these are some fun things about me. I learned to do this is headstands or the Sirsasana pose, right? In yoga, I tried learning it on my own, and then I went to a conference in New Zealand. This was me doing that while we were at New Zealand. And this is me doing skydiving at Monterey Bay, California. And if you want to look at my bungee jumping video, you could take a look at this link below, since you also have access to the slides. Okay. And bungee jumping was also in New Zealand. Okay, great. With this introduction about me, I would like to start the topic for today. Just a minute. I would like to start the topic for today. Like, what is generative AI? Okay, just a minute. Yeah. What is generative AI? And so the first thing, and this is probably the only slide that's going to have like such a definition, but I would like to first start with this. Okay, first, generative AI is basically a category of artificial intelligence, and this is the first type of artificial intelligence that actually can start generating content, okay, which just changed things so immensely in the field of education. So previously, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we were primarily thinking of the self-driving cars and things like that, which artificial intelligence would help humans with. But when we came up with this idea of like generative AI, especially the introduction of ChatGPT, it gave us this whole new area of like algorithms and models to generate new content, especially in the form of images, text, and other types of data, right? And then the previous artificially intelligent systems rely on explicit programming to perform some tasks, but the generative AI, we call this generative AI or the Gen AI, has ability to create novel output, okay, by learning patterns and structures from existing data. This is such a huge thing in artificial intelligence, that it can create novel output by learning patterns and structures from existing data. This whole thing is what makes AI, or generative AI, so amazing. Okay, and what does that mean? I can show you, like, I think a demo may be great. Okay, so before starting this demo, I would like to just start a poll. Okay, I'm going to start a quick poll so that I get a sense of like the people in the room. Just a minute. I'm seeing like, okay. Okay, so can I, okay, I think like poll may not work here, but could we use the chat? Okay, could we use the Zoom chat to tell me if you have how many, like if you have used ChatGPT or any such generative AI, like GitHub Copilot is another generative AI. If you have used generative AI in your life, you could just say like yes, and if you can just type in yes, and if you have not used it, you can just say no. So I can get a sense of like okay, already among around 10 people or like around 20 people, mostly yeses and a few no's. Okay, I can see, okay, based on the responses I'm getting, my rough prediction of the percentage would be like probably around 80% of the people have used it, or like 70 to 80%, but still like 20% probably have not used things like generative AI, like ChatGPT and so on. Okay, so then I think it would be good to start with like a demo, okay, a demo of what these systems can actually offer us. So I'm just going to start. I'm just going to start a demo here with ChatGPT. And to be clear, I have been like, once these things came into practice, or they started releasing these artificial intelligence, I have been like experimenting with them both for research purposes, and also I've been like using them. So like what to say, so much was for like my own class, for creating things for my own class and so on. Okay, so I can just give you like a quick thing. You can say something like what are the let's start with some things that what are some challenges of generative AI. Okay, just trying to say like what are some challenges. I'm just asking this as a question, and you can see here this chat GPT. This is by the way, this is chat GPT, how chat GPT looks like. And based on this particular question I just asked, what are some challenges of generative AI, it started generating like a really detailed response. Okay, it started generating a really detailed response and it's telling us that generative AI, while powerful and versatile, faces several challenges, some of which include lack of control, okay? Lack of control in the sense that generative AI is not going to be correct all the time, okay? And this is amazing that we are asking ChatGPT what are its issues, right? So there's lack of control, there are ethical concerns, there is some bias and fairness issues. We can go into details in many of these things, but the main purpose that I'm trying to do right now is just to show you a demo, okay? Show you a demo, and I can use the same thing to also, like, let's say, write an essay, right? We can say something along, write an essay about Chennai. Okay, I'm just going to say, like, this is trying to write an essay about Chennai. It could do, like, you can see here, it is, if you actually look at these things, if you have the time to look at these things, if you want, I can even share with you like what is being generated here. But it says a gateway to the south, economic powerhouse. And you can see here that it actually developed like almost like an amazing essay about Chennai. If you look at it, let's just probably like look at one paragraph about the gateway to the south. Chennai serves as the gateway to the southern part of the Indian subcontinent. The Marina Beach stretching along the Bay of Bengal is not just a sandy expanse, but a living, breathing entity that encapsulates the pulse of the city, from the energetic chatter of cricket matches to families enjoying the cool sea breeze during evenings. Marina Beach is a microcosm of Chennai's diverse social fabric. This to me is amazing. Okay, this to me is really, like, personally, it's amazing, because I can't really, the first time when I started seeing such systems, I can't really believe that this is being really done by machines, just by computer programs, right? So I can't really believe that. And so, but the main thing is the way that it is trying to actually do these things is this thing about when it's for each and every word, it starts figuring out what would be the next appropriate word in this particular case based on what all ChatGPT has looked at in the past. And what has ChatGPT looked at in the past? We call this as a training data. And the training data is nothing but it has been just trained on all the web pages on the internet. There's so much of content on the internet. It has used all these things as a way to train it. And so it just like spits out things based on all these web pages. But when we see it in a good context, it shows us like, wow, this is super nice. But at the same time, to be very clear, although this looks amazing, it need not be correct all the time. That's the main thing. It need not be correct all the time. So this creates, again, such a huge challenge for education, because so many times it may just, we call this as hallucination. So many times these AI systems can just hallucinate, okay, hallucinate. And the next demo, I would like to like stop at this, probably pause at this point before we proceed. Any questions? Sorry, I see on the chat that it doesn't give exact and proper information. So I totally agree. It's not going to be like exact proper information, but we have been doing some studies to figure out like how much of this is like true and how much of this is just like hallucinating. And most of the time it's actually correct, but because it is still hallucinating, we can't just believe it all the time. Yeah. So I'd like to like pause at this time to see if there are any questions about generative AI in general, like generative AI and how do we use it? Because in the next part, I'm just going to talk a little bit about, yeah, so what is the range of data? That's a great question. So range of data, Dr. Murali Venmula, I'm just assuming that you are thinking like what are all the things that has been fed into this system, right? So the things like, for example, ChatGPT, I'm using this version of ChatGPT called ChatGPT 3.5, which is like the free version out there, okay? And this particular version was trained on things until I think it was like something like 2019 or something like that. I don't remember the exact date, but we can check that online. But all the things on the internet until 2019 was what was being trained on. And so if you try asking ChatGPT about some current events, so something like, it may actually tell few things. Okay, so who was the president of India now? Something like this. Yeah, you can see here that it is like 2022. As of my, it just tells us that, just a minute. Yeah, as of my last knowledge update in January 2022, which means that it has been actually trained up till January 2022. So January 2022 is the time it has been trained. Then it says, as of my knowledge at that point in time, because I do not know what has happened in the world after that time, because I've not been trained based on the information after that. It says that Ram Nath Kovind was serving as the President of India. However, please note that my information might be outdated as my training only includes data available up to that date, and I do not have real-time browsing capabilities. This is also very important. It also tells you that it does not have real-time browsing capabilities. So it's very important mental model that we have to create. It's not searching for you on the internet at this time to provide you some data. It's just like using what all it has till the time it has been trained on. I recommend checking the latest and most reliable sources and so on. Then let's take a look at the chat. I think there will be a few more chat messages. How to validate the information? That's one of the main challenges. That is, at this point, there is no way to validate the information like automatically. We have to make sure we refer to the official resources. For example, the government of India would have published some documents and things like that, right? So those are official resources that we may want to like refer to validate this information, but there is no like an easy way to validate this information. That creates a huge challenge with these skills. Okay, I have also, yeah, could we get authentic and validated information from AI? At this point, at least with the latest development that we have right now, the answer is no. There is no way that we can get authentic and validated information from AI. And one of the main reasons is behind the scenes, the generative AI uses this technology called the GPT. And basically, it's similar to like we have this idea in machine learning called like artificial neural networks. Basically, what people tried doing was they tried understanding how our brain works, and using that information, they were trying to figure out, can we try replicating how our brain works on computers? Okay, they were creating these things called artificial neurons. And I would highly suggest you folks, if you're interested in this, to search for this. Okay, like neural networks. Okay, neural networks is such a huge topic, and you can learn more about it. But the basic idea is they create this idea called neurons. Okay, and this is like, I'm just showing you thing. So it says that this is a simple neural network. They think like each and everything is a neuron, and all these neurons are connected to each other and so on. And basically what it does is the way it works, okay, it works amazingly, by the way. Okay, it works amazingly, and that's why all these generative AI systems are working really good. But the way it works within or behind the scenes is just not even known to programmers. So people who even create these neural networks, if we ask them, hey, could you explain how exactly, given these inputs, how exactly are we getting these outputs? And the answer would be like, I have no idea, because all these, we as programmers or computer scientists do not have an understanding of how these neural networks are producing such correct results. And that is one of the main reasons why, at this point at least, we cannot get any authentic or validated information from AI. Because it's more like we, the creators of these things, we just do not know how these things work. And that's why people say, like, if we don't have control over these missions, that's the reason like people are worried about they may at some point like take over humanity and so on, which I think is far-fetched, but at the same time, that's understandable. Yeah, I'm like actually really happy to like take questions directly. I see a comment about host can give permission to participants to interact with the speaker. Definitely, I'm very happy. I'm assuming like Rupesh, I'm totally fine for folks to like either raise their hands or something like this so that we can ask them to
Yes.
have them ask the questions directly. Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Okay, I'm seeing like there are like a lot more questions coming. Feel free to like, I will also have some time. Oh, so there is a question.
Maybe
Okay, I'll just
we'll
try
take
answering this.
this. So maybe we'll take these questions at the end of the session.
Yeah, that's also fine. That's also fine with me. But I think still like a few things I will, at least I'll try taking in whenever I'm pausing, I'll try taking at least like 1 or 2 questions so
Few.
that we
Yes.
can keep
Yes.
this
Yes.
interactive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And I
Yeah.
think I'm going
That's
to
fine.
like prioritize people who may like want to ask questions directly. So when I pause the next time, feel free to like just raise your hands on Zoom or just like
You can
unmute
please
yourself.
raise your hands on Zoom. And then, Raghu sir, could we give that option to the participants?
Okay. So I think we can
Yes.
continue. Okay. So one more thing I wanted to show as a demo. Okay, to really for us to understand practically how these systems are used. Okay, there is this code you can see here. Okay, this is, I'm just going to like disable this. Just a minute. Disable completions. Okay. So if we are writing a program, okay, if we are writing, this is a Python program that we can write, okay. So I just have something like print hello world. And if I write this program, if I save it, and then if I try running it, okay, if I try running it, this particular, the program will end up running, and then it is printing. It's just basically printing this thing called hello world here, okay. So whatever we just did, just like got printed. Okay, and if I want to do this, okay, if I want to do this, let's say 10 times, okay, if I want to say something like, so is someone asking a question?
No, sir.
Okay. So if I want to like do this 10 times or something like that, I end up writing something like loop. Okay, so probably like I can show you. We say something like for I in range. Again, I'm not really wanting you to like understand what is going on here. Okay, because this is not sure how many of you have programming background, but if you want to do something like 10 times, we write something like this. We call this a loop, and then say we say like for I in range of 10, we just print. Let's say. ISRC folks or something like this. Okay. If you want to do this 10 times, then now if I run this program again, you can see here that this particular thing, hello world, just got printed once, and then hi SRC folks got printed like 10 times with a smiley at the end. Okay. And this is how we used to program till now. Okay. We used to write programs slowly, and then we check this output here and things like that. And there is no suggestion from the programming environment in any way. Okay, but now what happened recently with this artificial intelligence? Do you see the small thing here at the? Are you able to like see? Just a minute, I'll try showing this again. Are you able to see the small icon here that says show Copilot status menu? Okay. Before that, in the chat, could you quickly type if you have some programming experience, if you have some programming experience, even basic programming experience, just say yes, so that I can know like how many of you have some experience, so that I can talk accordingly. So yes or no, yes or no is totally fine. Okay, no, none. Okay, no worries. I think this is totally fine. I see like 1 S here and 2 S's here. Okay, great. So I think the intention here is not to learn about programming, but the intention here is to actually understand, okay, like we used to write code from scratch before, okay, but now in such tools, in these code writing tools, this is called an integrated development environment, where we can write code in a text editor and then immediately run it. We have the small thing that says show Copilot status menu. If I click that particular thing, it will actually start say there is a thing called enable completions. Okay, if I just say enable completions, now when I start writing code, okay, I can write things like, okay, I can just write things like that is this is a comment in Python. This comment is just like saying, I can just write something in English, right? You can see here, even before I write something, it's already auto suggesting, hey, is this what you want? Is this what you want? Kind of a thing. Okay, write a function that computes the I wanted to compute the area of a circle. Okay, area of a circle. It's even telling me immediately after I typed area, it's actually suggesting, hey, do you want area of circle? Do you want this? And so I can just type tab to complete it. Okay, and how is it knowing that I want to write area of circle? Because there are so many millions of programs online, okay, millions of programs on the internet where people have written programs for area of circle and they upload it on their websites or on GitHub, which is a website for programming. And it is using all this training data to figure out, okay, most likely Gerald is trying to write a program and he wants area of something, probably it's area of circle. So I'm just going to suggest, is this what you want? Is this what you want? Immediately it's asking you, is this what you want? So I can just tap completed. And then the important thing is this is just a comment. Okay, I'm just writing a comment here. But once I do enter, you can see here, it's showing me the first line of code. This is how I write a function in Python. Again, the detail is not required here, but the main thing is it's just telling me, hey, if this is what you want, then great. Then I'm just pressing tab here. Okay, I'm just pressing tab here. By just pressing 2 tabs, okay, I was now able to write a function to compute the area of a circle. And then it's immediately asking me, hey, write a function, computes the area of a rectangle. Do you want to write a function to compute the area of the rectangle? Then you can keep on going like this. And it tells you that the area of rectangle takes in a length and a width, and it computes area of the rectangle using like length times width. This is the multiplication symbol in programming, length times width, and so on. And in this particular case, you can see here that it's area of circle is 3.14 times radius. This particular operation is the square operation, like radius square. And so pi r square is what is being computed here. And then you can even call this particular program. You can just say area of a circle for 5. Okay, area of circle with the radius 5. Okay, and so in this case, I can just say area of circle C1 equals call the area of the circle function with this parameter 5. Area of a rectangle R1 equals, it's even suggesting me now, area rectangle 5, 10. And then now if I just run this code, okay, if I just like save this and run this particular line of code, so I was expecting to see, oh, I'm just like doing this, but I'm not printing this, okay? I'm just computing this, but I'm not printing this. I can print area C1. And similarly, now if I go here, it's immediately going to suggest me, hey, do you want to print area of R1? Okay, I just type tab here, and then I save it. And then once I run it, it tells me that the area of the circle with the radius 5 is 78.5. You can double check it if you want. 3.14 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 times 3 is around 75. So 78.5 seems correct. And then area of rectangle of 5 on 10 is like 5 times 10 is 50. That's what it's telling me. So the way that we write, the main thing I wanted to show here is like the way that we interact with programming or the way that we write programming has changed immensely due to artificial intelligence. And this has created such an impact on computer science education specifically, okay? Because all the tools that we use now have these like generative AI things like the Copilot enabled. And so once this is enabled, this actually makes our job like a lot more easier because it's suggesting things based on what most of the things are out there. But again, at the same time, if you are writing a very specific function that no one has written before, then there are not going to be any suggestions for you. So there is a trade-off between how much do we use from these systems and how much do we just like do it on our own so that we don't forget programming, because there's so many trade-offs, right? And we just don't become over-reliant on these machines or on these systems. Okay, this is what GitHub Copilot looks like. Okay, and now I'm going to move on to the next part of my talk, where we are going to like dive deep into the positive impacts of Gen AI on education. Okay, and so here one of the things that I see as positive impacts, more like a concrete positive impact, is like for instructors, it is so helpful in automatic content creation. I'll tell a small story. In one of my lectures, I'm teaching this really large class here called CSE 11, Accelerated Intro to Programming. I can even show you all these things. Okay, it's called CS 11 Accelerated Intro to Programming, and I am the instructor for this class. And we have actually, in this class, we have 600 students. Okay, and to manage these 600 students, and to help these 600 students, this is me here, Gerald Susiraj. And this is a picture that I really love a lot. It was taken in Chennai in one of the autos. This was like actually replicating a movie picture, like a Tamil movie called Adukalam, which I love so much. Okay, and these are all the people. These are the teaching assistants. The course has, I am one of the instructors, and there are so many teaching assistants here. So the course has like 50 teaching assistants, 50. Okay, it has 50 teaching assistants to help organize this course of 600 students. Okay, 600 students in the class. And in this particular course, what we do on a daily basis is that we give them worksheets, okay, to work on. Okay, we provide them some worksheets to work on in the class when they're working. And one day I have a like a almost 3-year-old daughter, and so I drop her at the daycare. And when I went to the office, it was already late. I have my lecture starting in 15 minutes. Okay, and 15 to 20 minutes. I still wanted the printing itself, printing 600 things already takes 5 minutes, okay, 5 minutes or so. And in multiple, we do it parallelly. But I still wanted to have a worksheet on that day. But I was like, okay, how do I generate a worksheet in the next 5 minutes? Okay. And the way that I used it was I used ChatGPT to generate the worksheet. And I have also linked that worksheet right here, okay, in this particular thing. If you click on this particular link, it actually takes you to this thing, okay. It links this worksheet right here. And so I generated this worksheet within a span of like 2 to 3 minutes, basically, with the prompt like I want to generate a worksheet for booleans and conditionals in Java, and this should be for people who are learning programming for the first time. Okay, and then it generated this amazing worksheet for me, and that's it. I was all done. And then I just added, like, I reviewed it, made sure that everything was correct. And I did not, there were like a few things I changed because there was a few mistakes that I changed them, very minor. But I added this acknowledgements. If you can see here, I'm not sure if you're able to see this. Yeah, it just said the content generated by ChatGPT 3.5 and reviewed and curated by Gerald Susiraj. So this is how amazing it's useful for instructors to generate content on the fly. Okay. And okay, but the question arises, then did I use ChatGPT then moving forward to generate all my worksheets? The answer was no. I personally love creating these worksheets depending on like the questions that happen, like what I really want them to learn and so on. And so we had nearly 18 lectures till now in the course. And this was the only time I used ChatGPT when I was like running out of time. So I think if we could use these systems in a way where we use them whenever we need them and not like use it too often, I think that may actually benefit us. That's my take on it here. Okay, and another impact that I've seen about these systems is this idea of artificially intelligent tutors. We are actually working on AI tutor at UC San Diego, where the whole purpose of the tutor is it is going to act as a teaching assistant where students can interact with it. And when the students are interacting with it, the main thing the teaching assistant does is, if a student comes with a question, the teaching assistant are trained in the way that they should not give away the answer immediately. Okay, they should ask questions back to the students to help gauge their understanding and then slowly provide them answers like in a step. Not we want the students to give us the answers by to the teaching assistant, and the teaching assistant's job is to guide them in the correct way, to show them the process. And so this is being artificially done, like in the sense that we are developing this AI tutor. I'm part of this team at UC San Diego, where we are developing this AI tutor, and we think that if this goes out really well, probably the number of human tutors that we may have, or the teaching assistants we may have, may significantly decrease in the future. I have seen some demos of this, and I think it was like amazing. The way that it was interacting with students was amazing. Okay, and the third positive impact that I'm going to talk about is generation of learning resources. Okay, example, exercises for students, generating programming exercises in non-English natural languages. Probably this is initially, I was not very sure like how interactive the thing would be. So I borrowed these slides from my students. These were two of my students, like Molly and Kevin, who did this research project as an internship with me during this past summer. I will give a quick overview of the thing. But before that, I just want to quickly check on the time. Raghu or Rupesh, could you let me know like how are we doing on time and how many more minutes do we have?
It is actually scheduled for 2 hours, sir. Since we started at 7:30, we can go till 9:30. But if you want to wind it up early, you are free to do that. And we can take we can make it interactive with questions for the last half an hour.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
In that case, I think I would prefer if we could even also take questions in between, so that like we could pace it out a bit. I may not be able to do it for the entire 2 hours, but probably because I have to run here. It's like already morning here, so I can probably
no issues, sir. Yes.
Yeah, sure. That's very helpful to know. Thank you. I'm going to pause now to ask about. We saw like demos of ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot, and also some of the 3 positive impacts that I think I have already experienced in my life as a professor here. The third one, we have not talked about it in more detail. I will talk about it in a bit. But before that, I would like to like take if any questions, if there are any. Yeah. So if you have a question, please like raise your hands.
Yeah, there's one question from Ms. Savita. How to use ChatGPT for literature review? How to use ChatGPT for literature review and finding a research gap while preparing a research proposal?
Yeah, that's like an amazing question. So the question is about like how to use ChatGPT for literature review and finding a research gap while preparing research proposal, right? So like you would be surprised that one of my friend here works at a company called Qualcomm, Qualcomm, which prepares these chips and so on. And in their company, what they tried doing was they come up with these patents. Okay, they come up with these patents for new ideas and so on. And so even that's such a difficult process. And what they tried doing was they fed like a system like ChatGPT, but not exactly ChatGPT, but this was more like a homegrown system. Okay, where they have full access and control over it, and the data does not go out to the real world. So they fed these like the patents that Qualcomm had from all these previous 20 years or something. And they were asking the system, can you tell us like what are some new things that we should be working on? And people are surprised. It gave them like, let's say some 10 ideas or something. And among them, 8 of them were like really valid. So the way that I would see that the way that we could use literature review, or I've seen like people here use these tools for literature review and finding research gap, is if we could summarize. Okay, if we could, for example, let's say if we are, first of all, if we want it to summarize some papers, there are some tools that can actually, not exactly ChatGPT, but there are some tools that can access these links and then summarize papers. Okay, so you can provide a list of topic. First of all, the thing that we could start with, you can provide a topic and you can ask what are some seminal papers in this particular area. Again, you have to be very careful that it may or may not be correct. Okay, so you have to double check if that thing is like valid. But after that, once you get some papers, if you can end up summarizing like few of those papers and then asking like, these are all the key ideas that have been discussed in this paper. What are some suggestions for future work? I've seen some of my students try doing it, and I think it's actually, it may not give you the like an amazing answer in this case, but still it will give you some ideas for you to start thinking about, okay, wow, I never thought about this particular aspect, but probably I'm going to start thinking about this at this point, kind of along that direction. But I'm pretty like, if you have access to be clear, this is the thing that I was showing you was ChatGPT 3.5, right? But if you have access to this ChatGPT version, ChatGPT 4, which is the latest version, which is like a paid version, by the way, at this point, okay, you can see here, that is ChatGPT 4, and that's like much more powerful. And where if you have links, it can read those links and process those links and so on. So, yeah.
There's one question from Mr. Balasubramanian, and the question is, how can generative AI be used in developing or improving the reading skills of students?
In the reading skills of students. So if we are thinking of the way that I look at it is, I will share some example with in the context of computer science, but let's say in the context of English comprehension, like English like reading comprehension. I'm assuming that is the context that we are talking about, like reading skills. So let's say if you're talking about English reading skills, one of the ways that I may use ChatGPT is even to generate some questions for me. Okay, I can ask things like, I can use the prompt like, assume you are an English teacher. Okay, assume you are an English teacher. Can you provide me a reading comprehension task? We can even, can you provide me a reading comprehension task? And we can even say something like the difficulty level. Okay, difficulty level is at the beginner level. Difficulty level is at the beginning. If this is for a beginning student, difficulty level is at the beginner level, and something like that. Then you can see here that here are a beginner level reading comprehension task that says like title My Pet Cat, and then it just gives a very small paragraph. Okay, Sarah has a pet cat called Whiskers, and Whiskers is a fluffy gray cat with big green eyes. Sarah loves to play with Whiskers every day. And then it actually, okay, it gives us this, and immediately it gives us these questions, which is like amazing to me, because if you think about it, and it like, so generating such exercise questions is like very difficult. And so this personalizes the learning so much, because it understands that the person is a beginner based on the thing that we gave. And then it asks you, okay, what is the name of Sarah's pet cat? And we can say the name is Fluffy, right? Sorry, not Fluffy, Whiskers. So named Whiskers, it's going to be Whiskers. And what color is Whiskers? And then we can figure out if the student is able to figure this out. It's a gray color with big green eyes, and so on. And it also tells you, feel free to answer the questions based on information provided in the passage. If you like, you can also provide the correct answers for you to check. So I am just going to try this because this is super interesting to me. For one, I'm assuming it's B, right? So let's say 1B. Great. So let's check your answers. What's the name of Sarah's pet cat? It tells you like your answer is B. Whiskers. Correct. Whiskers is the name of Sarah's pet cat. It's correct. Feel free to continue to answer with the rest of the questions, or let me know if you'd like to correct answers from the remaining questions. So let's say now I'll just want to try one more thing. For 2, I will give a wrong thing. Okay, let's assume I'm having it as black. I'm assuming it's black. So I'm going to just say for 2, it's C. Okay, let's see what it says. So let's check your answer to the second question. What color is Whiskers? Your answer is black. The correct answer is actually gray. Whiskers is described as a fluffy gray cat in the passage. Don't worry though, it's even motivating the student, which is me right now, who is like a beginner student in reading comprehension, right? Don't worry though, reading comprehension tasks takes place and you are on the right tracks. Reading comprehension takes practice, Okay, and you are on the right track. Feel free to continue with the other questions and let me know if you have any more questions or if you'd like to know the correct answers. So now I think I'm like, okay, I want to know the correct answers because I have no time, something like that. Then I can say like, can you tell me the correct answers? And then immediately it just tells you like, it tells you for each and every question, it tells you the correct answer. You can double check your answer, which to me is like amazing, by the way. Like the machine doing this, understanding the context and understanding that we are only providing an answer for the first question, and then I'm providing a wrong answer for the second question. It's teaching me this personalized learning has been a goal of developers, or for not developers, or has been a goal of educators for decades. Okay, so many like people would be like, I have a student who's like struggling with reading comprehension. How could I help them use these tools to get better? The way that I would suggest is have them start using such things, and then they could continue with like, it is like, let's say if they are now if they want more question, they can just ask like, can you provide me another question? I'm not giving so much of context here, but I think it will understand the context that we are here. See here. Certainly, here's another reading comprehension question for you, and it immediately provides another question and asks us these. Now it's like just asking us one question from it, probably because it understands that it is also very important, because it thinks that probably the student is struggling with 5 different questions. And so it's like for one particular passage, just asking one question, and then we can even have it ask more questions if we want. Can you ask like more questions in the same passage, and so on. I'm going to pause here because this is super interesting, and especially in the context for all of you in the English department, I think this would be like amazing. Any follow-up questions on
yes,
this? Or sorry.
There are a few more questions. So it is from our convener, Mr. Raghu. So is AI a database, or it analyzes data from Google and providers? Can we create a PPT or images through ChatGPT? And can ChatGPT analyze the graphical chart?
Yeah, these are like great questions. There are multiple questions. I'll try tackling one by one. Okay. So is AI a database? The answer for that is AI is not a database, but it uses, okay, we should think of it to be like a database is something just like a collection of data. We have to like think of, okay, what are all the data on the internet? These are web pages. AI, like people who have created this ChatGPT, they have used all these web pages, which is like a lot of web pages on the internet. They should have stored it somewhere. Okay, they should have stored it in a database. Okay, they would have stored all these HTML web pages are in this format called HTML page. For example, if I go to this particular web page, you can see here, this is my personal web page. And if I say something like, hey, if you want to look at my teaching, you can see a teaching.html, right? And so all these are HTML pages. So all these pages are we would have stored them in a database, and this AI uses this database to help us answer these questions. Okay, so AI is not a database, but AI basically uses this database to help us answer this question. And at the same time, AI is not using Google directly in a way that the queries that we are giving, AI is not just like feeding into Google, because Google is just a search engine. Google works on the terms of keywords. It uses those keywords to fetch web pages that are related to that particular keyword. But AI needs to understand things, right? But is it really understanding things? No, that's the thing. It's really not understanding things, but it gives us the perception based on how well it is trained and how well it works. It gives us that perception that, hey, actually, I'm really understanding what you are asking me, kind of a thing, which is what is very amazing in a sense, but also very scary in another way, if you think about it. So that's how I think about it. And there are some follow-up questions on it. Yeah, so the things about So Rupesh, could you remind me about it? The other two, there are two other follow-ups there.
And can ChatGPT analyze the graphical chart?
Yeah, so those are like great questions. So at this point, we have things like DAL-E. We have things like DAL-E and things like this, which can generate images. But I don't know we are at a capability. I don't know we have a capability of providing a chart. Okay, DAL-E is basically a system that can generate these images for us. Okay, you can generate images. You can say like, hey, can you generate an image? And all these are computer generated images basically. And so, but I don't think if we provide, let's say, a chart with some bar graph or something like that and ask ChatGPT, like, can you explain this bar chart to me? I don't think so. So we can even try. Actually, I don't even know if it has access to web pages. Let's even try doing this. Okay, I'm just going to copy my web page and then just ask things like, can you summarize this web page? Yeah, so it says like, actually, I did not provide the web page here. Can you summarize this web page? I'm just like editing it and submitting it again. I'm sorry, I don't have the ability to access external websites. Okay, at this point, does not even have access to external websites. And especially for ChatGPT, if you want them to analyze graphs, we have to provide data as like an image, like a JPEG or a PNG image as the graph. Okay, but ChatGPT is full like a text-based generative AI system. It can only, the input can only be text and the output can also only be text. So at this point, ChatGPT cannot analyze images. But I'm pretty sure, like, I think people are already working on all these things, like, in the background. Yeah. Okay. Great.
There's one question from, Mr. Narasimha Prasad. Does ChatGPT attract plagiarism?
Attract plagiarism. That's a great question. Wow. So I may even like jump. I'm just even going to jump some topics here because this is a topic that I want to discuss. But I wanted to bring up this particular thing because I really love interactive sessions a lot more. Okay. So I also have some challenges here. You can see here, one of the challenges that I've highlighted here are ethical issues like academic integrity issues. In universities, we all know that academic integrity is such an important thing. And how do we address this, right? Because does this attract academic dishonesty issues and so on? Definitely, I think yes. Whenever people want to just easily get away with the particular thing, okay, get away with a particular thing, then they can just like copy paste the programming assignment or whatever. Let's say if you're giving like an English comprehension task, like reading comprehension task, they can just copy paste it to ChatGPT and ask it to get answers from. That's totally possible. Okay, and I'm pretty sure students are definitely doing it. Okay, I'm pretty sure students are definitely doing it because like no one is going to be like, okay, if they are like really scrunched for time, I'm pretty sure they're going to do it. So I'll probably talk about like how like I as an instructor am tackling it. Okay, I'm tackling it in my courses. In my course, again, let's go back to my course. If you go to the syllabus, then our syllabuses are a syllabus of so many things. What are all the things that we're learning and so on. And especially this particular time, we added something like collaboration policies. Okay, we added collaboration policies. And to be clear, in programming courses, one of the main concerns we have is we usually have like a certain subset of students who would have either their parents, like mother or father or uncle or auntie, who's like a really good programmer who works in a, let's say, who works at Microsoft or Google and so on, or really good programmers. And they can in turn basically help these students with the programming assignments and things like that. And so these small subset of students who had access to this uncle or an auntie who was a programmer may not even be caught in academic integrity checks. We do like academic integrity checks. The way that we check is once students submit their programs, we compare each and every program with every other student's program. And we have some tools that tell us that, hey, have these two students plagiarized code and things like that. And using that, we have to create these academic integrity reports and so on. All these were happening, but these students who had family members who are programmers were easily getting away with it. Okay. And so for the first time ever in my course, this is a collaboration policy. We tell them that the course staff in CS11 highly encourage you to work in pairs or form study groups to work on take-home assignments and study for exams. However, it is your responsibility to make sure you understand the concepts and assignments you collaborate on. Meaning that the reason is we now want them, we are not doing any academic integrity checks or anything. We want them to actually collaborate and work from each other and so on on these assignments. But we also specify that if you're collaborating with someone with the intent of copying code or worksheet answers to get answers, even though you may feel you're doing well, you may still end up failing the course if you do not do well on exams and coding challenges. So the main thing is, we also look at this in a lot more detail. And just for folks who are interested, my whole course is also publicly accessible. Okay, my whole course is also publicly accessible. So I can even share the link here. If you want to take a look at these things to reuse in your syllabus, feel free to use. So, and we even tell them what a good collaboration looks like, what a bad collaboration looks like, where we have some late policies. And we also have like a generative AI policy. You can see here that we specifically in the syllabus, we created a generative AI policy. We say that the following policies regarding generative AI use apply only in CS11. And can I use generative AI for assignments? Since we have no way to restrict students to do so, we wanted to take a fair approach where we told them you're most welcome to use generative AI in assignments. Okay, you're most welcome to use generative AI in assignments. You can use ChatGPT or you can use Copilot, whatever you want. Does that mean I can use generative AI to do all my assignments for you? Then we also tell them, hey, you can do that. But if you really do that, you're going to end up failing the class, because the way the class is structured, I can show you that quickly. The way the class is structured is that half of the percentage in the class, okay, you can see this is the overall, like the course components in the class. All these are take-home things. So if you count all the take-home things, it easily counts up to like around 50% of the grade. 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, the whole thing comes up to like 50% of the grade. And the exams, the midterm exam and the final exam, and we also have something like coding challenges. So if they have used ChatGPT and if they have so relied on it, and if they do not know how to program on their own, they're going to be failing the class, because we have like these lab exams where they come to a computer lab and they have to program within 45 minutes. They have to write a full program. And they would not be able to do it if they have completely relied on these things. And if they do not pass, even if they get like full points on, let's say, the programming assignments, worksheets, all the take-home things, but if they are not passing the exam components and the coding challenges components that are like lab exams, they are still going to fail the class. This is how we tackle academic integrity issues. We let them use it, but we tell them it is totally your responsibility to make sure that even if you're using it, that you're really learning from it. So on. Okay. Awesome. Okay, this is super interesting to me. Like the questions that you folks are asking are amazing, are like and super relevant and super practical. So practical, this is amazing. I thought I may end up like giving this was actually really good. I will probably, since we started talking about ethical issues, a few other things are bias and bad habits. They may now, like if we are even thinking if this would be appropriate for beginners, if someone is like really learning to do for the first time, if they are learning about reading comprehensions, or if they are learning about writing programs or understanding computer programs, is this like a correct tool for them? We still are figuring out the answers for it. We still do not know if these are correct. And the time now seems like how calculators were introduced like decades back. When calculators came into the scenes, there were these math teachers. Okay, we can just search for it. There were these math teachers who striked. Okay, who striked there were these math teachers who striked for about calculators use in 1966 or something like that. So they were like opposing this use of calculators. If you take a look at it, there would be like even pictures about I think the pictures are not loading right now, but there were like these pictures about teachers protesting about this is the picture I wanted to share. Okay, there is this picture about teachers protesting about like calculators use, but this was happening in some 1960s or 1980s. Okay, but we think that this could be like a similar thing that we are going through right now, where many teachers I think have not come to terms with generative AI, and so they may even be at a stage where they are still protesting these things and they do not want the students to use those things. But I think it may I mean it's very unclear like how these things are going to like go, and so it's like very interesting time in history to be witnessing these things. Yeah. So one more thing I wanted to share, probably like I will share, and also like the over reliance of these tools will make them like always, then they may not really know how to do things on their own. They may just like completely rely on these. So these are all real like practical concerns that are there about generative AI. And I will just probably give a quick summary of the study. Two undergraduate students joined my research lab in the summer, and they wanted to work on a project. And the project that we worked on was this thing called, if you want a programming exercise to be generated, very similar to the reading comprehension exercises that we saw right now, we used ChatGPT to generate these programming exercises for students, but especially in non-English programming languages. Since programming is primarily in English, we wanted to see how does ChatGPT help with non-English programming language generation or exercise generation. And these two students are Molly and Kevin. Molly was from North Carolina State University, and Kevin was from UC, the University of California, San Diego, which is where I am, and I was their research mentor. This is, by the way, this is my full name. Adalbert Gerald Siraj is my full name. I'm not going to go over each and everything because I know like we are already at 55 minutes, so I know like how much of attention humans have during a talk. So I'm not going to go over this completely, but I'm going to give you a quick overview of like what we did. Okay, so basically what we did was, and I'm just trying to see like which would be a better thing. Okay, so what we did was, the prompt was this. Probably this prompt would be good enough. We told ChatGPT something like, I will give you an introductory programming problem. I will give you the following. I will tell you the natural language, the context, the programming concepts, the problem statement, the sample solution, and all the tests. I want you to respond with the similar problem that uses the same programming concept, but in the new context. Write program 2 in, we specify a particular language here. The languages that we used in the study were English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Tamil. These are the 4 languages because we had like English, all of us knew, but there was Molly knew Spanish, Kevin knew Vietnamese, and I know Tamil. And so these are the 3 languages that we used in the study. And we generated like 20 exercises times 5 contexts times 4 different languages, 400 total problems. And the interesting things was where the ChatGPT was actually able to generate these things in different programming languages. In different program, I can give you like a quick. I'm not going to go over any of these things. And basically, we analyzed these problems based on sensibleness, readability, translation. Is it culturally relevant, and so on. And those things were super, like what to say. It was like super interesting to see this. Okay, and as a demo, I just want to tell you, like I can, because this is like a language, like an English department. I want to see, like, can you generate reading comprehension? Just trying to ask this in Tamil, okay, so that you can see like what happens here. You can see here that now ChatGPT started actually typing in Tamil, and it's even Kelvigal just means like questions here. And so it says like Yen Suvar Nai. I'm just going to read this. கோழி வாழ்க்கையில் ஒரு பெரிய பங்கு உள்ளது. அந்த பங்குக்கு ஒரு சுவர் நாய் உள்ளது. அந்த நாய் அழகான பசுமையில் உள்ளது. அதன் கண்கள் சிவப்பாகும், மூக்கு மிகவும் நீளமாகும். அந்த நாய் தினமும் கோழிகளுடன் விளக்கு குத்திருக்கிறது. Okay, I don't know like what this last word means, but other than that, I got a sense of like what they are trying. They're talking about a dog, and then they're talking about like a hen here. Okay, and பங்குக்கு உள்ள நாயின் பெயர் என்ன? ஒரு பெரிய பங்கு உள்ளது. So basically, yeah. So basically, it is like doing the same thing in Tamil for us. So the thing is, we did a similar thing for programming, and then we were trying to figure out how well does ChatGPT generate these programming exercises for us in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Tamil. And we found that, okay, the interesting thing, this was basically, if you're really interested in seeing like how a research paper looks like and how it is written and so on, these are some of the tools that we use to write research papers. Okay, it's called an overleaf, and we can it's based on a system called LaTeX. Okay, and in behind the scenes we have this PDF generated. This is when we submit it, we also do not mention the author names when we submit it, because it should be a blind review process. And then, okay, using all these things, we generated this research question or this research paper. We wrote this research paper, and we found that the interesting thing was this is like some numbers I wanted to share with you folks. I think that's also in the slides. Probably I'll show you in the slides. ChatGPT, actually, this is a percentage. Okay, ChatGPT did 84% of the things were correct in English. In Tamil, only 48% were correct. Vietnamese 72%, Spanish 87%. So it actually did much better in Spanish even than in English, which is very surprising result for us. And other than that, I'm not going to go over any of these other things. If you want, because you also have access to the slides, feel free to like access to this, have like look at the slides, and then even let me know if there are any questions later on via email or something like that. But again, here, this is how the research paper looks like. And this paper recently got accepted in an international conference on computing education. And 2 of my students will be presenting this paper at this conference. Yeah. And with that, I'm going to, like, I think, go on to the last thing. I already showed you how I am using ChatGPT in my class. Okay. And one last thing I wanted to share is another colleague of mine and also my faculty mentor. His name is Leo Porter, who's right here. This particular person, Leo Porter, along with his another colleague called Dan Zingaro, I don't know both of them really well. Okay. And both of them wrote this book recently called Learn AI Assisted Python Programming with GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT. So what they are basically doing is, for people who are getting started with programming, they are helping them to understand programming using these ChatGPT and Copilot, so that people can learn programming in an easier way, so that they can use AI, artificial intelligence, as a way to help them learn programming. I think with that, I am basically done in the sense done talking. Okay, but I'm really happy to like take any questions. I hope like all of you like learned at least a little bit about generative AI and how we are doing things here at UC San Diego and so on. So feel free to like ask any questions. I think people are raising hands. I'm also seeing some like really kind words in chat. Thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Murali Vemula, go for it.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself, Dr. Murali. Dr. Murali, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. So before we could take Dr. Murali's question, there's one interesting question from Ms. Savita again, that Can AI hamper critical and creative thinking skills?
Can AI have critical and creative thinking skills? Yeah, so people have been like, people have been experimenting with that. Yeah, people have been experimenting with that to figure out, like, is it able to understand these critical arguments that we can make, and can it give some critique about some of the arguments that we put forth to it? I think it's actually doing a great job with it. I think it's actually doing a really good job with it. Creativity, people are seeing it in the images that are being created, and in the if you can tell ChatGPT something along the lines of, assume you are a creative writer and I want you to write an essay, a creative essay on a particular topic. People are seeing it there, and also people are seeing it in these images a lot, which is astonishing, which is like really good. So it is definitely already doing good, both in terms of creativity and also being critical with critical reasoning, basically. Yeah, which is also scary in a bit, because it feels like these systems are actually thinking, which is like really scary. Yeah.
There's one question. Anybody wants to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Dr. Murali, you can speak actually.
Yeah.
Are you there, Dr. Murali? It's okay. Sir, continue.
Yeah, we are not able to hear you, Dr. Murali. I think you may have some issue with your microphone. We see, yeah.
Yeah, there's one question from Ms. Gauri. So, how to use ChatGPT to develop English skills to rural students? Like, I think that's a pretty much interesting question, because when we talk so much about inclusivity, inclusion, and all, and as a narrative these days. So, how could this help rural students?
That's a great point. That's like one of the, like, a really important challenge that we are having, because the main problem is access to resources, right? So in this case, so if rural students do not have, let's say, access to internet 24/7, like urban students do, or students in cities do, then it creates a huge digital divide. Already the computers and the internet have been creating a huge digital divide between urban and rural students. But I think I personally think this is just exaggerating the gap a lot more. It's just making the digital divide gap a lot more. I don't have like good answers for how could we address it, but we are facing similar issues here in the United States, in schools, in schools, right? In elementary schools and high schools, people are already seeing that students who are like well-to-do, or like are from rich families who have access to computers and so on, they are, or even middle-class families who have access to computers, they now have this whole access to this amazing thing like artificial generative AI. But people who are from low-income backgrounds or poor socioeconomic backgrounds, since they may not have access to computers at home, they are like already, it feels like, yeah, if they are already like facing the disadvantages of it. And so I don't have a good answer for it. But I totally agree that I feel that artificial intelligence, since it is offered through the internet right now, it mainly exaggerates the gap a lot more. And one way to address it would be that if the schools can embrace these things, right? If the schools and the colleges can embrace these things, and they say that, okay, we see the usefulness of these tools, we understand the challenges that they may pose, we also see the usefulness of these tools, so we want to like let our students use these tools when they are in the schools or in the colleges and so on, that may actually reduce it a bit, so that if they have access to these tools in the computer labs and so on, that may help them with this. How I think about it. Yeah. And yes, Lavanya.
I think yes, Dr. Lau. Yes.
Good evening, and it was a wonderful session. I enjoyed every bit. Sorry if I'm not able to turn on my video. It's
Oh,
taking a
that's
lot
totally
of my
fine. Yeah.
signal.
Yeah.
Just this is you may think it's a bit of cheeky question, but we are depending so much on AI generated, generative AI, and we are talking about bringing about worksheets, talking about similarly on the other side, I also work in an engineering college here. And I notice student always depends on the chat GPT to give all the answers and submit the assignments. We do check, but we can't keep score on the number. You know, in India, the number is huge in classes or wherever. So if per se this goes on, down the lane, what is the need for a teacher? What is the need for a student? Where is the need for learning? At a click, you go. Then what is it that the humans are going to do? It's just I'm taking it to next level. Maybe it makes me wonder because researchers are going to just depend on the Chat GPT for literature review. This is what I see, and then they also play around to try and see how Chat GPT comes out with the research question. On the one side, I see that is happening too. Even surveys, I was looking at how they're taking the help of chat. If everything is chat GPT that is going to do, or any other generative AI, what's it that humans are going to do? What are they going to do with it? I think the earlier question, I agree. The thinking, already we are I noticed the thinking has gone down the gutter already on the way. I wonder what is it that humans are going to do from henceforth. I don't know how.
Yeah. This is such an amazing question. By the way, I feel you completely, and I can provide my perspective how I look at it, and I can tell you from the perspective of, let's say, computer science education. People before, like similarly, when Google came into the space of computer science education, before that, the only way the people were programming was like based on their knowledge from the textbooks. That's how people were programming. But when Google came into play, like we have this website called Stack Overflow. We have this website called Stack Overflow, and these two, Google and Stack Overflow, completely redesigned programming in a way that even if we look at professional programmers right now, they look at whatever they want to do, they would definitely be looking at how to do it here and then use it in a way. But even though we have Google and Stack Overflow, still programming is such a valuable skill, and people are paid so much of money to do programming. I think is because of the human aspect of it. Because even though all these things are there, there is someone like a human who is trying to understand this complexity and who's trying to put things together and who's trying to like explain this to other humans and so on. And so I am definitely not at all a fan of the thought like school where people think that hey, AI may end up like completely making humans like not at all needed, which is definitely like a fear that's there. But I don't agree. So I just feel that what may happen is if we use it in the right way. Again, there are definitely whatever you told Dr. Lavanya is may totally happen. But if we use it in the right way, which is a very difficult thing to do, but if we use it in the right way, then I think we could just not worry about like some uh, like what to say boring tasks that we may end up doing in our day-to-day lives, and try like automating them or using these tools to help us with those tasks, and instead focus our time and energy on more creative tasks and things like that. I also see that people are already using it for creative tasks, like let's say literature review and coming up with research questions. So it's a very like if people, okay, the way that I look at it is people are just using it to offload the work to these machines, and if they feel that okay, they can just produce it, they can show these machines work as their work, then I think that's a huge disservice to the human potential or the human capability or the human creativity. And so I'm definitely not in line with that. And people also say that, hey, because of this, we are developing these AI tutors, right? So we are even thinking that we computer scientists are at some point going to, in the near future, are even going to automate ourselves out of the job. Because if we can develop an AI tutor, then we can develop an AI professor, and then who is going to like actually be there? Then people can just work with these missions and so on. So we definitely fear that this may happen sometime in the near future, but I personally don't think that may happen, because even though there are like so many online tutorials and so many these massively open online courses, these MOOCs and all those things, still our college classes gets like, I am teaching a 600 student class right now and so on, right? Still these college classes get so much of like interest and so on. I think it's mainly because of the human factor. It's because of the professor who's there is like a person. I can learn from a person. I think that's going to be like a huge determining factor in how we look at these things and how these things may pan out. But I loved that question, Dr. Lavanya. Thank you.
Yeah, participants, if you want to directly interact with Dr. Susairaj, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Yeah, most of us, as we are from humanities and English department.
So I'm not
That,
able to hear Rupesh. Yeah.
oh, okay. Okay. Can you hear me, sir, now?
Now I can hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was trying to say that this would be a threat to humanities when we are discussing about human touch, because during COVID times, we were very much into virtuality, and now from digital classes to virtuality, and now AI. Yeah, so there is an argument going on across the world, especially when it comes to AI and humanities. So would it be a threat? But I think, as you said, rightly said, we should use it in a right way, and there should be enough regulations.
Yeah. And the people also say that AI may automate ourselves from our jobs, right? And I think at least in the near future, I'm not sure if that is going to be immediately happening, but I at least think that a person who knows how to use AI is going to take the jobs of people who do not know how to use AI, something along those lines. So in the same, I'm talking about more about the computer science industry and so on. In the CS industry, I think a person who knows how to program with the help of AI can easily replace a person who does not know how to use these tools while programming. And so that's my take at least in the near term. But yeah. And Dr. Lavanya, do you have a
Yes.
follow-up question? I saw like you had your hands raised again. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think, Dr. Lavanya, you have a question? Okay. Yeah.
No. Yeah, okay. The problem is, sorry to say this. Yes, I wanted to continue that. We are not able to unmute, and at the same time, the chat is disabled, so we are not able to put the problem with you. Thank you. In continuation, that was a great answer. My intention was not about the fear of what is going to happen. Like the moderator has presented, it has done a great service. It has opened new doors to us, especially COVID, AI, and automation and digitalization helped us, no doubt. But my query was, an idle man's brain is a devil's workshop. So I see students around me, the questions are generated, coding and programming questions are generated through generative AI, ChatGPT, and other sources, because the teachers are pressurized to come out with hundreds of questions. And yes, they do, they finish their task. The students are equally good, and they come out with the answers from the AI generative one. So, where are we ending up? That's what I was asking. And yeah, like you said, we should have that balance of this thing, to use it the right way, but the left is always bewitching. So I wonder where we'll land. The fruits seem to be good, but we generally also have to anticipate when we prepare for lesson plans and all, we talk about anticipatory problems, anticipated problems. So I don't know where this is going to land us, but let's see. Let's always keep
Yeah,
the
yeah. I also have no idea. Lavanya. We'll all see like in the next
Because
2 years.
people stop drawing also. You also do your etchings. I remember when I'm, just pissed off with somebody, I'd pick up my pencil or something and, come out with a beautiful thing, and that puts me away. I mean, out of that.
Mhm.
But and the same thing can be done over with, I think, AI too. That's another great. I see the kind of work that some of them really are brilliant. It's beautiful, but like you said, how they're going to use and what to what end is matters. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. Great session. Because when
yeah.
you were talking about that reading comprehension, just for the
Mhm.
heck of it, I tried. I was sitting with my student the scholar, he said, we can do it. I said, chalo, do it. You generate, I'll show the answers through AI itself. There's no point in me
Mhm.
generating a question paper
Yeah.
from that, but the answers are there already. And the sad part is, we're looking at projects in English language learning. Sorry, maybe I'm taking away more time. The moderator would really hate me and the others also, but still.
Not at all. Not at all.
Interestingly, Cambridge is proposing projects, they want projects related to how you're going to come out with tools that will help you to assess English language chunks and chunks of answers, paragraphs and essays, and they want better ones. If that's going to happen, then what's the teacher going to do?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Then what
Yes.
is the point? I can predict also. Anyway, thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Thanks,
yeah,
Lavanya.
I'll
Yeah,
keep my
it's
eyes
great.
and ears
Great
open.
conversation.
See how I can beat them. My brain is better than the AI because I give the inputs. I guess we always have to remember that. It's the humans who give the input to the AI. So we need to sharpen our minds and keep it open. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
I think we have come to a conclusion of today's session. So I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Susairaj for really making it interesting and an interactive session with lifetime examples. And as we look at the kind of interdisciplinary research that we are supposed to be into, which is emphasized by NAP 2020, I think we teachers from humanities should move out of our whatever selves that we call, and then extend ourselves into the other disciplines. And I think this was a very apt session for such kind of interdisciplinary exchange and engagement that we could have. And we wholeheartedly, on behalf of the Department of English and the university vice chancellor, as well as dean, School of Sciences and Humanities, the head, and all the faculty, we extend a great and a big thank you to you, Dr. Susairaj, and all the participants for actively involving in this interactive session. So the feedback link is shared, and I request all the participants to fill the feedback link, and we shall wait to see you all for another interesting session tomorrow. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. This was I was really happy to like share this with all of you. This was super nice. Thanks a lot. I hope like all of you learned something about generative AI and how we use it. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
yes, sir.
And, yeah, if you have any like comments for me about like if it was useful or not so useful, if you agree with my things, if you don't agree, please feel free to like type in chat before you leave. I will look at those chat messages. Thanks a lot. Yeah. See you all.
Thank you, Dr. Gerald, for accepting our request. Actually, even though you are busy with multifarious activities and you accepted our request. I'm Raghu.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for inviting me. It was really good. And sorry, I was not able to like respond to many emails. I was like offline for the past few days.
It's a wonderful
Yeah.
actually informative. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks a lot, folks. See you and have a good night there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Good night. Yeah, thank you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you.
participants kindly fill the feedback link. If you have completed filling the feedback link, you can leave the meeting. I request all the participants, if you are done with filling the feedback link, you can leave the meeting.
Sir, YouTube closes. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, I'm going to close the session. If you have any issue, could you please raise the hand? And if you have filled the form, could you please leave the session, please, and see you tomorrow. Hope all have you filled the forms. I'm going to log out the session. Thank you, one and all. See you tomorrow.